Hello, fellow detectives. Welcome to Unlocked, the official podcast for all things Nancy Drew by Her Interactive. I am your host, Tammy Tuckey, and this week we welcome YouTuber and fellow Nancy Drew fan, Michael Gray, to the show. Welcome, Michael.
Thanks for having me.
It's deja vu for me to be talking to you because before I knew about the message boards, I would watch your videos because I'd get stuck all the time.
It's great to be here because I've been listening to the show for how long have you been doing it? A couple of years?
Almost 2. It's kind of weird, right? Went by really quickly.
Yeah, so I guess we've both been listening to each other for years in that case.
Yeah, which is, and I'm such an admirer of you because you saved me because I had the one Message in a Haunted Mansion. I could never finish the game because it's with the culprit. Spoilers, Lewis is at the bottom of the stairs, and I would always go down the creaky stairway. I didn't realize to go down the other one. So I was like, oh, well, there you go. And you showed it in your video, and I went, oh my gosh, I missed this for 3 years, and Michael finally gets... So that's how it turned me on to watching your videos, which is great because you have these great commentary. You have such a fun time playing them. For a gamer, did you play other games before Nancy Drew? Like, what did you originally play? Was there something you loved to play the most? Lara Croft, Pac-Man, anything like that?
Yeah. So, part of the reason I got into playing Nancy Drew is because just in high school, I discovered game FAQs, and I thought it'd be really cool to write walkthroughs for game FAQs. And so, I didn't really have any up-to-date gaming systems like other people did. So, I had an original Nintendo, and that was about it.
Wow.
So
we're dating ourselves now, aren't we?
I know. So I'd play the 1992 DuckTales game.
Oh my gosh.
In 2004. So that'd be 12 years later. And I actually, I played the game, and I had a notebook with me. So I wrote down, what I did to beat the game in the notebook, and I basically typed it up and submitted it to game FAQs, just as an example of some of the stuff I would do. So when I actually, I don't know, I wasn't able to buy any computer games because I didn't really have an allowance or anything. So I got games from the library and stuff. And that's how I first came across the various Nancy Drew games.
You were on board for the first game beforehand because you won a contest to be featured in Secrets Can Kill. You were on the Student Hall of Fame board?
The Students of the Month board.
That's it.
Mr. September is the nickname people have applied to me.
How did you win that contest? Was it just put your name in the hat and submit it, or?
I think the contest was, now I can't even remember. I know that they did two things. They did a fan art and a photograph contest. So I know with the fan art, the people had to submit fan art and pictures of Nancy Drew or Nancy Drew characters that they drew, and they submitted that. I'm trying to remember what the process was for the actual photograph thing. I think it was just pick your name in the hat, and they picked 12 random people, and I ended up being one of the ones that was chosen. And the reason I remember is because I believe I was at school at the time. I remember going to the library to print out a picture of myself to mail it back to Her Interactive in response.
So what was your initial reaction when you finally saw it?
It's interesting because, I obviously recorded a video of myself doing it, and I knew ahead of time that my picture would be somewhere in the game, but I think I just started cheering. It's hard for me to look at my picture and not just start laughing about my pictures in a game. I'm not a character with any lines, but I like to pretend that I'm an actual character in the Nancy Drew universe.
Now, what was the first Nancy Drew game you played?
Secret of the Old Clock would be... No. Oh, gosh. Never mind. Wow. It's the Haunted Carousel is the first one I actually played.
Oh, wow. So you started around 2003, 2004, you think, with the initial games and Haunted Carousel being the first one.
I think that's it. I could probably date it because, like I said, I've got the game FAQs.
So you started to film the videos for YouTube in 2007, 2008. So Crystal Skull was there first. Legend of the Crystal Skull.
You know, people seem to have a positive reaction. I wasn't very popular at first, but, you know, I got requests. It's like, hey, play some of the other games. I'm like, okay, fine. I like the Haunted Carousel because it was my first one, so I played that. And then I think I played Secret of the Old Clock. And I was just awful at that. I had never played it before. And the mini golf challenge. So I did like a little bit of preparation, but definitely for Secret of the Old Clock, I didn't do enough preparation because there's a half hour of me trying to win that game of mini golf. Basically what I try to do is, I'd play like a half hour of the game on my own, and then I'd record myself doing a walkthrough, just playing the game for a half hour. So that way I'm always kind of ahead, but I haven't beaten the game yet and haven't spoiled the ending for myself.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Just you do enough just to get you through the walkthrough, the initial part, and then you get to be just as surprised as we are when we're watching you play it. So... So when did you notice that there was this buildup of people watching, more and more fans watching your video?
So it was 2009 when my YouTube channel exploded, so to speak. So in 2007, the total views on my channel was 2,000, and then 2008 I got 400,000 views in total. But then 2009 I got 3,886,603.
Holy cow! Wow, Michael, what a jump!
That's a huge jump. So I don't know what I did differently in 2009, but that's basically when it exploded. And I guess I got to the point where people weren't just watching my videos just for help on how to solve the puzzles, but they were watching it because they liked it and they thought the videos were fun.
Yeah, you're a very great entertainer, because you've probably heard on our show, on the podcast, that a lot of the voiceover artists don't play the games that they're featured in, but they've watched your videos in particular. They mention you. So, which is really cool. They're like, this guy, he's witty, he's funny, and it was cool to kind of go through the walkthroughs. Sometimes I send your walkthroughs to them because they're like, can you give me a refresher? I'm like, sure, watch the Twitch stream, or you can watch, Michael's little clip of your character, and they love it. They're like, oh, this is great. So you have fans through the voiceover artists who are on the show. So
that's great. Yeah. You
have so many different walkthroughs. Do you have a particular one that was just your absolute favorite to record?
Oh gosh, I think Message in a Haunted Mansion is that was one of the ones I really liked. People really enjoyed that one. I think video 6. Actually, I know video 6 for a fact. I think it's the one that everybody likes because there's the scene where somebody shoves the message in a haunted mansion under Nancy's door, which it's a message that says "Leave the mansion now." And in my walkthrough, I just started screaming. For just comedic effect, a just really loud, high-pitched scream. I'm not going to do it now because I don't want to wake up the baby, but it was a joke that I did because I was tired. It was the end of the day, and I was actually planning on re-recording that take, but I left it inside the actual video walkthrough, and that was good.
You like doing Easter eggs and finding those as well, too, right? You have videos that go along that aspect.
I love the Easter eggs. Here's the funny thing is I just discovered in Nancy Drew the Deadly Device. Oh, I'm totally forgetting the name of the female character who's not Ryan. No, the one who works with Mason, Ellie. That's
upstairs.
Ellie York. On her computer, she has a programming text. If you go onto her computer, it's just random code. And the funny thing is, it's the code for the Easter egg in the game. So if you
Ooh.
can read the code, it tells you, okay, here's the scene for the Easter egg. And the only reason I know this is because it says specifically play sound effects, like hen cluck or egg find or something like that. It's like it's its own little Easter egg in that they included the programming for an Easter egg inside the actual game itself.
Are there any other Easter eggs that you absolutely adore that you, if you were to meet a fan in person, be like, hey, if you play this game, definitely check out this Easter egg?
I like the Easter eggs where Nancy talks to the character, believe it or not. I like the one where she called herself in the Haunted Carousel, where basically it's a complicated Easter egg, but Nancy gets a phone call from the Nancy in Message in a Haunted Mansion, and she tells her
Really?
past self she says, okay, the key is inside. It's inside the cash register in the basement, I think, is what she says. You have to do like 3 things for it. So like at a specific time when you're leaving, it's amazing how I've got some of these things memorized, but when you're leaving the engineer Ingrid's office at a specific time, I think you need to click on either the left-hand side of the door or the left-hand side of your screen where you answer a trivia question, and that
Mhm.
gets you an Easter egg. And what you do is you use that in the fairgrounds area where they have the carnival booths and whatnot. And you use that on like the right-hand side of that area against the wall, which is, I guess, to the right of the machine where you get that little thing that you use to knock down the letter. I'm totally forgetting the names, but yeah, no, there's an Easter egg where Nancy talks to Nancy, and it's just crazy time travel Nancy talking. Some of the Easter eggs are easy enough to find, I suppose, like in the Shattered Medallion, where inside the shed where you do the sheep shearing, if you open and close that one grate like 5 times, an Easter egg appears. That's the only thing the grate is for, so I think I discovered that one by accident. Other ones, let's see, the Silent Spy. What you do is you enter Nancy's prison number from Alibi and Ashes into the safe in the Silent Spy, and that gets you an Easter egg. That's something I never would have thought, never would have figured out to try. I'm remembering, I think one that was kind of easy to find, yes. The Captive Curse, where in the underground tunnels in the Captive Curse, there's basically this plaque in the wall with 2 key slots in there, and if you put 2 of the keys inside, you get an Easter egg. It's like, well, that was pretty easy to find out. And another really logical one was in Nancy Drew's Resorting to Danger. Joanna has a book. You get a close up of this book called, Mid Break at Waverly, and they have the ISBN number in like bold print on the cover, which is not where they put ISBN numbers, I don't think. But if you put that into the card catalog in Warnings at Waverly Academy, you get an Easter egg.
In your opinion, what do you think is the darkest Nancy Drew game?
Oh, that's got to be Ghost of Thornton Hall. I'd say either that or, yeah, I think I'll go with that over Shadow at the Water's Edge.
Why do you think that is?
Harper, basically. None of the characters in Shadow at the Water's Edge were scary characters, I guess, if you could say, whereas all the characters in Ghost of Thornton Hall, most of them seem to have some sort of dark edge to them. Like Colton had psychological problems, or, Wade had been in jail and he didn't like talking about it. And so I feel like just because of the characters, that makes Ghost of Thornton Hall a bit more darker.
And Nancy's been to so many different places, but have you thought of like a place that you would love to see Nancy get to explore at some point? Maybe a state, a country?
This is actually, I'm going to segue into a weird conspiracy theory I have.
Please do. Go ahead.
So when oh gosh, game number 27. How do I know the name but not the actual game's title? The one in Colorado, the Deadly Device. Yeah. Okay. So, they had a contest called Adventure Matters, which came out with the Deadly Device. Basically, if you pre-ordered a copy of the Deadly Device, you'd be entered into the Adventure Matters contest. And basically, what you would do is they selected somebody from random. I think it was somebody in Florida. And they basically gave this person like a list of 5 places and said, okay, you get to pick where Nancy Drew number 30 is going to take place. And obviously that person picked New Zealand. But some of the things that were suggested, on their ad for on the ad for the contest, it's like, send Nancy anywhere in the world, wherever you want. Would you send her to Chicago? Would you send her to Russia? Would you send her to Greece and Africa? I think those were like the 5 places that they suggested. They didn't release the full list of suggestions of places where Nancy could have gone. I think they kept that a secret. But I think Greece was on there because Greece is game number 31. So I feel like that was kind of a tricker move on their part. It's like they basically were already going to do a game about Greece, or were thinking about it. And so they put it on the options. What's the term for it? They sort of like stack the deck. They mentioned, Africa, Greece, I think Chicago. So I really want to see Nancy go solve the mystery in Chicago, actually.
Before we end our interview, I have 5 locked clues that we ask to those who work at Her Interactive or are also fans. So I wanted to ask you for the first one, which was first Nancy Drew game, but I think you already answered that one, right?
Yeah, a Haunted Carousel, definitely.
Haunted Carousel. So next one is favorite Nancy Drew game.
It's either got to be Warnings at Waverly Academy or Secrets Can Kill Remastered. I just like seeing my picture in the game.
And our next one, who are you going to call? Ned Nickerson, the Hardy Boys, or Bess and George?
Oh, man. I'm going to go with Bess and George if I'm going to call from the Nancy Drew series, but... I really love the Hardy Boys. They're a 1980 series, which is it's kind of silly. It's all gung-ho action, fighting, punching people all the time, not so much solving mysteries. But I really like seeing them do that. And of course, when Nancy Drew crosses over with the Hardy Boys, it's always great. I like how she's done a couple of games with them too.
Okay, well, next one. What place from one of Nancy's past cases would you like to visit and see for yourself?
I'm actually going to go with Danger by Design because all of those places are real. I've seen somebody who actually went to France and took pictures of all of the places and used them as reference photos. So they had, it's like, here's what this place looks in real life versus here's how it looks in the game. And it's all very accurate. So that's really amazing.
And our final question, what character besides Nancy and her friends do you think you would get along with if you met them in person?
I think probably Sonny June. He's the guy who would get along with pretty much everyone, I think. But he's just a really funny fellow, and that's why I'd want to hang out with him. I'd also like Mel Corbliss from Warnings at Waverly Academy. I think I've mentioned somewhere online that it's like, high school Michael really would have had a crush on Mel. That would have been.
Aww. Well, thank you so much, Michael. I can't believe I finally got to talk to you. This is great. Thank you so much for your help over the years, because you have saved me so many different times from doing a lot of hard work. Sometimes I'm like, you know what? I just got home from work. I really don't want to get through this puzzle. Michael will help me today.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, and I can't wait for the next, walkthrough, whatever it may be, Nancy or whatever.
You're welcome. It's been fun.